Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Commission Corner. This time, a new episode, and this time with the second time with a guest from Sweden. The last time was with Petter from Sana, and Sana, as probably everyone knows right now, has become a unicorn. So maybe it's a sign. Who knows? But this time we've got Elis with us. Elis, welcome.
Thank you very much, and thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's so wonderful to have you as a guest today, and maybe you can give our listeners a short introduction of yourself. So, who are you, and what is your role?
Yeah, of course. So my name is Elis. I am head of RevOps at Scrive, hopefully Sweden's next unicorn. And yeah, Scrive, for those who doesn't know, we're an end-to-end contract management and trust platform. So we basically do electronic signatures from pre-signature to the actual signature to post-signature, and we're also big within the digital identity space, where we basically partner with ID verification leaders across different markets, primarily in Europe, but also globally. So that's short about me, short about Scrive.
And you are the head of revenue operations at Scrive. So what brought you to this role?
So actually, prior to joining Scrive, I worked within sales, and then at the company I was at the time, we didn't have any operations function. So basically that meant us as sales managers and other kind of senior sales people basically handled everything that revenue operations or sales operations usually do. Basically I got a feeling for it, and then I thought, there has to be a role where someone does this. Turned and then did some research, found kind of sales operations, and started searching basically, and ended up at Scribe just over 3.5 years ago.
Wow. And what is your main responsibility in revenue operations, as it's a quite broad field from role to role?
It is, and it differs quite a lot. It's one of those where I guess the definitions aren't quite clear, since it's fairly new, at least in Europe. But basically for me, it's we handle the entire customer journey, and the teams working across the customer journey, including finance. That is, I would say, not that common. But basically everything from marketing to sales, customer success. We also have partner teams and the finance team, and we do like everything from strategy to data and insights, processes, automations, tooling, like all the usual, let's say, RevOps classic stuff for this team.
And when you say finance, does it mean that you are responsible for the P&L, etc., or is it just a small part of a finance that you're dealing with?
No, it's basically financial operations, basically. So good clarification. We don't handle like finance, but we finance is one of the teams that we are supporting. But then we have like controllers and an accounting team and billing team. So and we basically support them with software for billing, etc.
And maybe also one very interesting thing about Scrive is that you recently acquired a company that I was targeted by multiple times with ads, Contract Book. And now this is part of your company as well, right?
That is correct.
And what was your role, or maybe what was your role in the acquisition, and maybe also afterwards?
So pre-acquisitions, I was basically part of the deal team working on the acquisition, and did mainly work on the commercial and financial due diligence, including like how the acquisition would impact our financials and our metrics, basically. So that was the main role, like pre-acquisition, and now post-acquisition, mainly working on integrating the two companies. So there are like two tracks. One is integrating the products, and then working on products, and the other is the integration of the companies. And I'm working mainly on the second one. For example, migration of CRM, and you can imagine a lot of work.
Especially when looking at CRM, it's mostly a very tough task to implement new CRM tools or to migrate from one CRM to the other. Is it owned in-house just by your team, or are you utilizing external consultants too?
We're actually doing it in-house, this migration. So yeah, we'll do it completely in-house, and we have some brilliant people like Salesforce admin and business applications and data people who basically, I'm sure will do a great job with it.
Yeah, a nerve-wracking task, I can assume.
Yes.
All right, then maybe let's talk about a little bit about Scrive, and maybe you can tell us a bit what is Scrive targeting for companies. What is your ICP basically?
Yeah, so basically we work with customers of all sizes within all industries, but we are, I would say, particularly strong within like high volume of standardized contracts. That is usually found within B2C companies. So our customers are oftentimes B2C companies, and often also in highly regulated industries. So I would say that is kind of the ICP. And then to make that maybe a bit more clear, it's usually automotive companies, BFSI, so banking, financial services, insurance, a lot of real estate, telco, utilities. So those types of companies we have a really strong product and offering for.
And looking at these companies, I can imagine that they, as you mentioned, have high velocity sales, so making lots of deals, but are probably also more in the enterprise area, or are you targeting mid-market companies too?
Yeah, obviously, like our larger customers are of course larger companies as well. That is a given. But I would say we basically work with everything from smaller companies to larger enterprises. So yeah, everything in between. But usually for these types of companies, yes, it would be a bit larger. But we have a lot of, for example, fintech companies. So smaller companies but faster in growth, and within the BFSI then kind of sector. Within automotive, there's a lot of like smaller, for example, car rentals and car dealers, local ones that are customers of ours around. And depends a bit on let's say our go-to-market motions towards these. A lot of these customers are customers through different partners of ours. So we partner with a lot of, for example, dealer management systems with this, which is commonly used within automotive for handling basically the store sales or store rentals of cars. And there we are oftentimes integrated. So then our partners can basically either sell that themselves to their customers and car dealers, or basically they refer them as leads to us to sell. So depends a bit on size of the company.
All right, so you work not only with the direct sales but also with, let's say, partners, but maybe to get a complete picture of how your sales process looks like. So maybe you can walk us through it. You mentioned you have different company sizes that you're targeting, you have different verticals. Is the sales team also structured in a way that it can serve those industries, like specifically, or what does the approach look like for the sales team?
So we are partially verticalized. So we have vertical teams working with specific verticals, and we are also split within like enterprise towards mid-market. Then the SMB we again primarily serve through the partner channel, or basically self-serve. So them buying themselves either in product or like from the website basically. I'd say we are structured in a combination of vertical and kind of size of company.
And in that regard, do you structure the sales process itself also differently, in a different approach?
I would say so. Like it's obviously once you get to a certain point in the sales process, it looks quite the same. But like definitely the inflow of leads, so to speak, is very different, and we run a few different motions and processes. So in the Nordics, we're happy to be kind of the market leader. So we have a very strong like inbound lead flow, and also like of course many customers and great customers to work with and kind of expand their commitments with us. And for other like core markets and core industries, we are growing a lot through our existing customers, through partners, and through more kind of dedicated outbound ABM kind of campaigns. And obviously the sales process differs a bit, like depending on which of these motions and markets. We are of course a more well-known brand in the Nordics, so that also changes the sales process.
Okay, does it also mean you're a well-known brand in Nordics, that when a STR calls a prospect and they say, yeah, I'm calling from Scrive, that the door won't be shut in front of them and is still open, or
hopefully at least. It's a good question. I would assume that they know what Scrive is, at least in the Nordics. So hopefully that's what it means.
Okay.
This is probably also part of your art, like combining revenue not only from the sales or outbound side, but preparing the leads in a way that they are warmed up, received marketing channels, and maybe have already seen some ads or have been in touch with your company brand before the SDR calls. Is it that you have lots of warm leads for your SDRs in that case, or is it more outbound motion?
So at least like historically and to this day as well, we have a very, very strong inbound lead flow. Again, specifically in the Nordic region, but also in like Northern Europe in general. So like Germany, Netherlands, and the UK, we're fairly big as well, and those are like focus markets. So we have quite a lot of inbound actually, and are fortunate to obviously have that reality. But yes, outbound is a part of that process as well, and I do think like it also feels like the lines become slightly more blurred. I think obviously they can show some interest, creating a free account with us, but it might not be the decision maker, so we need to speak to someone else, and the lines is slightly more blurred, I think, as buying groups become bigger, and you kind of need to do a bit of a combination of the two. But yeah.
And maybe from your RevOps perspective, also taking a look at how you are approaching sales, go to market with the partners and also with the direct sales team. How are you helping the team, supporting the team from a RevOps perspective?
It's a very good question. I think it's a broad one as well. But obviously through this, like making sure that the tooling is supporting the team, and that we are building processes like for the team, and how they work. So I think it's a close collaboration and staying really close to both the leaders of all teams and also the reps themselves, and asking for feedback and understanding what they would like it to work like, and then try to make that a reality, at least when it comes to like tooling and let's say the processes. Of course, we are trying to implement AI across like our different go-to-market processes for research and for helping with producing like plans or maybe emails or talk tracks or whatever it might be. So building this into our processes and helping with this at scale obviously makes a difference, and I think we have started here, but there obviously is still a lot to come, I think, when it comes to AI in these processes. And then like helping with insights, so analyzing the data we have to kind of help them prioritize the right leads and the right messaging and the right kind of signals and intent and so forth. I think like it's a close collaboration, definitely, but all of the, let's say, typical RevOps thing.
Speaking of AI, is there a specific tool or software that you would already recommend to a RevOps fellow of yours and say, well, have a look at this AI tool. This really helps your sales team?
Good question. I've played around with a few myself. I think like generally we so far at least use mostly LLM APIs to basically build these integrations ourselves from, for example, Salesforce or other go-to-market systems. But yeah, I can't say I have that one for sales. Like obviously I think and let's say a product area that has a great potential in this AI race and that we're seeing a lot of developments in is the likes of Gong and Chorus and these types of tools. I think if you're able to have all your meeting transcripts, like emails, calls, all of that, and able to like put AI on these transcripts and emails, you get very good context for the AI to basically do all sorts of things and so yeah, those would if you are not already using one of those, I'd definitely recommend to look into that.
Yeah, I think that totally reflects the status quo also for many companies, that they are still exploring tools, and there's not this one tool that everyone needs to have. But for the one companies, it's call recordings. For the other, it's something like Clay to prepare the leads. But I think we're still in the phase of exploring AI for sales and not having this one fits all tool.
Definitely.
Yeah, but a call recording tool is probably the basic right now. The basic.
Yeah, no, I agree. But I do think that is like because I think like in general AI obviously needs a lot of context to kind of work its magic, and I think that the place where the most context lives is naturally from meeting transcripts and the meeting, etc. So I think that is it has loads of potential, I think, and I think we're just seeing the beginning of all of the things that we will be able to use this like call recordings and email syncing tools for.
And have you tried out some AI agents which take over the part of cold calling?
I have not tried, and well, I think like you never say never, but I do think like that's the one place so far, at least of what I've seen, that maybe humans do a better job in the relationship and everything. And I think like of course like that's not a hot take at all, but we should try and have humans do what humans do well, and then AI do what AI do well in computers.
Yeah,
it's a bit my 2 cents at least on that.
Okay, let's see if this is still the case in 2 years. Maybe it changes.
Let's see. Could be wrong.
Yeah. Maybe also, Elis, a bit more about yourself. So you're the head of revenue operations. What does a typical week look like for you? Can you say that there's like standard meetings that you have or standard procedures that you have every week, or is it all over the place?
Well, I think both, but at least for me, one of the charms of RevOps is that it's largely project based, right? And being project based, I guess that basically means that there's no typical week, because it largely depends on which projects you are working on at the moment. But like for me, if we look at the recurring topics, or my like typical recurring week would include like obviously leading the team, doing business reviews, board reporting, like analysis of our go-to-market in general, that type of those types of things, and well, for context, right now the biggest project I'm working on is a new kind of order to cash process, and refining that, I would say, which is probably the project that takes most of my time right now. But that will obviously be something else once we are done with that one. So, which is what I love about RevOps, that it's never really the same, and it's always new challenges to be solved.
Very versatile, and I think from what you told us, I assume that this project has the biggest impact right now, also for the company.
I would say so, at least from let's say the go-to-market area of the company. Yeah.
Looking at responsibilities in the RevOps area, and also the timing of our recording today, heading end of month, sort of end of quarter, some companies love that time to think about commissions. And first question, is commission management part of your role, or do you have a dedicated role in finance or in sales? who's responsible to taking over commission management?
I think it's a bit of a split responsibility, but I'm basically both like advising on commissions, and I'm the one who calculates the commissions and basically provides the commission files for sales managers to approve, and then we have our payroll specialists actually add them to systems afterwards. But yes, I'm largely involved, and I do like the calculation, etc. of commission.
Mm. And from your role as the RevOps leader, are you more a fan of like having an OTE, or let's say a percentage of a deal that you give out to the reps?
Well, I unfortunately can't go into too much details of how it's structured, but what I can say like is what kind of let's say builds up the commission models. So for AEs, it's basically based on the new ARR that they close and the one-time fees that they close. So basically implementation fees or similar. And for our SDRs, it's based on the number of meetings they book and the referred ARR, so kind of seeing the deal all the way through to actually closing. And similar for our partner sales managers, it's based on referred ARR or it's based on resold ARR for the reseller partners. And customer success, it's basically expansions and churns. I think those are the kind of pillars that build up our commission models. I think in general quite simple. It's my philosophy at least. So
Yeah, simple but effective, I can imagine. Especially, I'm very glad to hear that you build a part into the SDR commissions when it comes to creating pipeline value, to creating referred revenue. Not all companies are at that stage already. I don't know if you have had a shift in commissions during the last years, but looking at especially that metric and SDRs, is that an incremental part of their motivation that they are participating from referred ARR, or do you think it's just a nice add-on for them?
it is a quite like substantial part of their commission. I think like the what the idea behind having that in the commission is obviously for them to book like quality leads and the ones that actually leads to revenue. And I think my philosophy, like what I see a lot of companies do, where at least me personally think a lot of companies go wrong is trying to compensate for every single KPI that matters. So you end up with like 7 or 8 KPIs, and it's super messy for the rep. My philosophy is you can like compensate on, let's say, the end goal KPI being referred ARR, obviously for an SDR. That's the name of the game, end of the day. But then like in the day-to-day leading of the rep, you of course can kind of lead on the leading KPIs such as meetings booked and whatever other leading KPIs that you deem important for a certain role. But at least my philosophy would be try and build at least the core of your commission around the kind of result that you want to achieve, and then it's something else how you manage and lead your reps day to day.
And Elis, you also mentioned one thing that you should avoid as a RevOps person or the person responsible for managing commissions is to hand out multiple KPIs that the reps needs to focus on. Are there any other don'ts that you should consider when setting up a commission plan?
I think that for the commissions, that's it. I think like obviously every role should probably have multiple commissions, but when it comes to the multiple KPIs, but when it comes to the actual commission, I think that should be, let's say, 1 or 2 KPIs maybe. It's my philosophy at least, and I like that for me at least comes down to the rep. I think for the commission to be motivating, I think the rep should have at least an idea of how much a deal they close will impact their paycheck once they're closing it, or once it sits in their pipeline. And obviously, to be able to achieve that, you have to have a somewhat simple model. At least I know I myself appreciated that once I were in sales. To once I close the deal, I want to know like how much am I getting paid And then obviously, if you have a super complicated model, you would have no idea. So I think, yeah, that's what to avoid, or rather what to try and do if you ask me.
So if your reps have an understanding of the financial impact of one deal, and looking at your role again, which is intersecting with the finance department, do you forecast commission payouts and report that to the finance team, or is it just a historical view on what you have paid in the last month?
Well, it's both. We do the historical view of what we have paid out, obviously, and that. But we also do forecasts, and it's also part of our budget, of course, which is done on a rep level. So I guess you could say that is kind of an OTE budgeting. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right, taking it at the time right now, and you also listened to our previous podcast, I heard. There's one last thing that we would like to do with our guests. It's to play a little game, which is revolving around the topic of commissions. And yeah, the idea is basically that you are to build a new commission model. And the first question from Gregor.
Yes, and it's an either-or question, to be precise, about your personal preference. So if you were about to build a team of your own, would you put a big focus on a fixed income for their salaries, or a big portion would be commission-based?
Ooh, that's spicy. I think I'm a big fan of commission.
Yeah,
So I'll answer that.
Yeah, and we talked about this a little bit earlier. So there are basically two types to focus on. Maybe a revenue share, so X% on the ARR, ACV, whatever, or you could say an OTE. Which option would you go for?
OTE.
OTE, okay. Yeah, this is something that more mature companies also choose usually, and younger companies start with a revenue share.
Yeah.
Thinking of the OTE, would you implement a cliff, so a minimum target to be attained that you earn any commission, or would you work without a cliff?
I think generally without a cliff. I think, that would be my answer. I think they kind of create this, sometimes at least, weird dynamic of stalling deals or similar. So without generally.
Yeah. And I think a lot of opinions differ on this part, especially. I've heard some people say, hey, cliff is not something that you should incorporate in any instance, because it really drives the opposite than it should do. And maybe also a part of driving motivation is also the limitation of commission. Would you work with a cap on the commission model or uncapped commission?
Definitely uncapped, I think.
From your point of view, is there any case where a capped commission makes sense?
Well, I've personally never worked within any business who makes those types of deals, but I think it was, I read the other week, and I don't dare to say the number, but I think it was Oracle who closed this, at least multiple,
billion.
Billion
Yeah.
deal. Obviously, then yes, it might make sense to have caps. At least if you do the revenue share, 10% of that, then you have a hefty commission, right? So I don't know. I've never worked within any of those companies, but I would assume it makes sense once you get those extreme ticket sizes to maybe have a cap.
Okay, yeah, interesting. Thanks for sharing your view today, and it's already 30 minutes in. So thank you very much for taking the time today, sharing your insights on how you operate at Scrive, also what it takes to incorporate a new company that you recently acquired, and also how you think about the topic of commission, which is, of course, Gregor's and my favorite topic to talk about.
Wonderful. And thanks for having me. It's been great.
Thank you, Elis.
Bye-bye.
Ciao.